Right now, the fate of the world rests in the hands of a reckless child, juggling dangerous toys. That child goes by the name Donald Trump. Every move he makes, every word he blurts out, screams erratic diplomacy. In fact, almost every single day, he manages to do something so unusual, so controversial, that it becomes headline news. For instance, ahead of his summit with Vladimir Putin, Trump threatened a 50% tariff on Indian goods if the meeting didn't go his way. The meeting did happen, but did Trump show strength and convince Putin to end the war? No, instead, he dropped his earlier demand for a ceasefire and floated a vague idea of a direct peace deal with Ukraine, without any land return or real progress.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. That was very profound, and I will say that I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no...
Putin emerged unscathed, holding the upper hand diplomatically. He focused on economic and trade opportunities, made no concessions, and walked away looking like the winner. And let's not forget, just 2 months before threatening the world with nukes, Pakistan's Army Chief Munir was being paraded on a red carpet in Washington, as if his visit was something to be celebrated or honored. Now, that red carpet welcome really exposes 3 things at once: hypocrisy in foreign policy, transactional politics, and selective amnesia on the part of the US. And on Pakistan's side, it shows how nuclear blackmail still buys it relevance in this world, and how dependency masquerades as strength. For instance, right on the soil of what we call a superpower, Munir declared, "We are a nuclear nation. If we think we're going down, we'll take half the world down with us." What does that mean for the world? It means not just his enemies, the whole world. Munir's threat wasn't limited to India, it would wipe out the US too. Modern nuclear weapons aren't like the crude bombs of Hiroshima or Nagasaki, they're hundreds of times more powerful. A single strike in one country can affect others, meaning the entire world could suffer. The fallout would poison the air and water, disrupt the climate, and crash the global economy. A statement so reckless it should have frozen every diplomat in Washington. Yet Trump treated it like Munir had just opened a new golf course. He rolled out the red carpet, welcomed him to the White House, and even smiled as Munir nominated him for a Nobel Peace Prize. Because apparently, nothing says man of peace like being praised by someone threatening to take entire world with him. Trump brushed it off. Maybe the businessman president skipped the science class where they explained fallout. When power sits in the hands of a man who treats diplomacy and nukes like toys, are the risks limited to one nation, or do they ripple across the globe? Now, the real question isn't whether the world can handle Trump, it's whether the world can survive the next 3 years of his tenure. We're witnessing a world run by impulsive moves, unpredictable deals, and a total disregard for decades of diplomatic norms. Today, the world sits in the hands of Donald Trump, a man who can, and will, do anything. For the US, Munir isn't a reckless general, he's a tool. A bargaining chip in its larger South Asia game. If Pakistan offers good deal to squeeze India, then threats of annihilation get swept under the rug. In other words, when we need you, your sins don't matter. Pakistan and the US is still reeling from the aftermath of Operation Sindoor, a major Indian military action, which also marked the start of a period of rivalry and Trump's attempts to punish India. The US jumped in to stop the war, even after India had made it loud and clear that no third-party involvement was needed between India and Pakistan. Predictably, Trump waded in anyway, and promptly got a diplomatic slap when India allegedly rejected his offer to enforce a ceasefire. In reality, the war only stopped because Pakistan's Prime Minister was the one begging India to halt it. But Trump, ever the showman, probably thought this India-Pakistan conflict was his golden chance to claim credit for preventing a nuclear war, maybe even score a Nobel Peace Prize. Naturally, he's now sulking over India, stealing the spotlight. His next hope, perhaps Russia stopping its war. For now, Trump is punishing India for standing tall, using Pakistan as a proxy. How long this game lasts, time will tell. Pakistan has long been America's go-to contractor for messy jobs. From the Soviet-Afghan War to post-9/11 operations, it's no secret Islamabad acted as Washington's proxy, backing militant groups as a matter of strategy. Pakistan's own defense minister even admitted they spent 3 decades doing the US and West's dirty work, a confession that should have led to sanctions, not state dinners. That history isn't ancient, it's the very foundation Trump is now ignoring to build transactional ties. Back in 2018, he blasted Pakistan for taking $33 billion in US aid, while sheltering terrorists, saying, the United States has foolishly given Pakistan more than $33 billion, they give safe haven to the terrorists we hunt. Fast forward to now, he's approved $397 million to maintain Pakistan's F-16 jets. In August 2025, the US and Pakistan signed a deal to develop Pakistan's oil reserves, including the first ever shipment of US crude to Pakistan. They're also exploring joint ventures in extraction and refining. Meanwhile, Trump-affiliated firms are lobbying to push Pakistan into the cryptocurrency market and tap its rare earth minerals, with over $17 million in contracts this year alone. With all this economic back-patting, Pakistan's confidence has soared. So much so that Azam Munir felt bold enough to threaten India's Jamnagar refinery, and even target Indian dams with 10 missiles. Then, like clockwork, the US designates the Balochistan Liberation Army, the BLA, as a terrorist group, right when Munir is visiting Washington. That's a warm hug to Pakistan under Trump. And it's got Indian analysts worried. Why? Because it's a double-edged sword for India. Both good and bad. Good side, India always condemns terrorism. The US move shows it's serious about terror, and makes it harder for Pakistan to claim India backs the BLA, and makes it harder for Pakistan to accuse India of supporting them without evidence. Bad side, the timing looks like a reward to Pakistan. It could encourage Islamabad to push for more US favors, even pressure against India, like FATF grey list threats. Analysts fear that Trump, the self-styled dealmaker, is treating geopolitics like a garage sale, handing out favors for a handshake and some flattery. So India is fighting back diplomatically. It exposed Pakistan in 2020, when Indian customs caught missile parts being secretly shipped to Pakistan's National Development Complex, which was a clear FATF violation. India is preparing a dossier to highlight Pakistan's ongoing terror financing, aiming to push it back onto the FATF grey list at upcoming sessions. Grey listing would tighten the screws on Pakistan's global finances, unless Washington steps in to shield Islamabad, as it has in the past.